Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Let me get my computer synced up here. Good morning, JJ. How are you? I stayed up late, way too late watching the football game last night, so at least they won. That made it better. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning, Donna. How are you? Sharon. Here you come. Good morning, Fran. Living the dream, yeah. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Glenda. Everybody's coming in all at once. There's my friend Lisa and Kathy. I feel like the lady on Romper Room. I think it was Romper Room, where she looked through the mirror and welcomed everybody. She never said Pam. I always waited. Just knew she was gonna say Pam one day, but she didn't. I guess that's not a very popular name. Okay, let's get going. Can y'all believe that a week from Thursday is Thanksgiving, U.S.? I get it. It's not Thanksgiving everywhere, but for the majority of us, a week from Thursday, we are less than 2 weeks. I'm telling you, when I told you when we started this that the time was gonna fly, I was not even kidding, and it has flown by. We are in the final wrap-up stages of our Thanksgiving Day challenge. She never said Judy either. What's up with that? We will have one more video chat with each other before Thanksgiving, and then we're right on the heels of Christmas, and then we'll be wrapping up 2018. Eagles Cowboy game, boy, they did me too, Elaine. I was sweating it until the bitter end, but our boys pulled it off. Yes, we did just have Labor Day. It's crazy. So I know Thanksgiving for a lot of us brings out a lot of anxiety about our weight. Probably brings out anxiety about family issues and stuff too, but for sure, for a lot of us, it brings out some issues about how to deal with the day and family and extended family. And for some of us, it brings out anxiety about not being around all of those families. Maybe you're going to be navigating Thanksgiving by yourself, and that brings out whole different issues. But for the sake of the majority, today I'm going to talk just a little bit about some ideas that I have to help survive that day. For the most of us, I think going into the day, it's the fear of the unknown. If you're the cook, then you know exactly what's going to be there. But for a lot of families, at least in my neck of the woods, everyone brings, it's like a potluck. Everyone brings something and puts the meal together. So I don't know how everyone else prepares their stuff. I know what's in mine, but I don't know what they put in theirs. I don't know how they cooked it. I don't know how much butter is in it. I don't know all that stuff. So it's out of your control. And for me, and probably for some of you, if I'm in control, I'm much more comfortable. I do all of the cooking for our kids and grandkids to come over, but I know how everything is prepared, so that makes it a little bit easier. But if you're like a lot of people and you're going to be going to a meal where you didn't prepare the food, then it's even more important for you to be prepared. Okay, so number one, put things in perspective. Thanksgiving Day should not be all about how much we can possibly eat that day. It should be about being with friends and family, and or spending a great amount of time that day reflecting on how incredibly blessed you have been this year. You may have had some major struggles. You may have walked through some very, very dark and deep valleys and trials, but you're here. And so you still have things to be thankful for. I think we should all start the day with just spending a few minutes reflecting on counting our blessings and giving thanks for those. Our country has a lot to be thankful for. I realize that for quite some time now, our country has been struggling with some issues, but even so, we're still living in one of the greatest countries in the world, and we're incredibly blessed, and we need to focus. So let's just spend some time that morning before all of the chaos starts, before everything else comes in and monopolizes your time. Just get a cup of coffee or something and sit and give thanks for our abundance of blessings, because that's really and truly what the day is all about. Remember, it's just one meal. Really, we tend to turn our Thanksgiving meal into an all-day affair, and that's okay if you're not trying to lose weight or maintain your weight. But if you're like me, and I think most of you are, we don't want to have a huge gain the next day or the next weigh-in. So live that weekend just like it's any other weekend except that one meal. We're going to prepare for that meal, but it doesn't have to be a 24-hour buffet for the entire weekend. One thing that I think really helps is to dress accordingly. If you remember, there was an episode of Friends years ago where one of the actors was looking for his Thanksgiving Day stretch pants because they had plenty of room so he could eat exorbitant amounts of food, and those pants would stretch with him. Don't wear those pants. Don't wear anything. This may sound really silly to you, but think about it. If you dress in clothes that fit, but don't have a lot of give, then your clothes are probably going to start kind of nudging you a little bit when the tummy starts getting full. So if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, maybe that's just the signal we need that we've had enough. Push away from the table. I've even seen people, maybe this is a Southern thing, Lord help, but I've even seen people undo their belt but keep eating. Don't do it. Wear something that you're proud of the way you look in, that fits you and flatters you, but doesn't give you room to overeat. So dress accordingly. Here's a big one. Have a plan. Have an agreement with yourself exactly what you're going to eat and stick to that plan. I don't know what your Thanksgiving is like. I know a lot of people put they have a menu and they put it on the table, and everyone sits down at the table and serves themselves from the table that way. My family was always a buffet. Everyone brings their food. It's spread in the kitchen, and then we go through the buffet line and fix our plates. And so that makes it a little bit harder because you don't know exactly what's going to be on the buffet. But I'll cover something about that here in a minute. But I know exactly what I'm going to let myself eat for Thanksgiving, for a Thanksgiving Day meal. I'm going to have turkey, and I'm going to have plenty of it because it's a good, lean, healthy protein, and it's filling. So I know I'm going to have turkey. I only eat dressing once a year. We don't do it again at Christmas at my house. So, and I look forward to it all year. So I know exactly how much dressing I'm going to let myself have. I'm going to have the measuring cup out. I'm going to measure it and put it on my plate, and I'm not going back for seconds. I'm going to eat green beans because they're another good healthy option, and they're filling. And they take up space on my plate, so it doesn't make me feel like I'm not eating as much as everyone else. I'm going to have some sweet potatoes, but I'm making two versions. One is the traditional sweet potatoes that we have in our house that has brown sugar, and we melt marshmallows on top. Again, that's probably a southern thing, and has chopped nuts in it. I'm going to make a much lower calorie version that has 0 calorie brown sugar and much less butter, and will still be just as good, and I'll have a serving of that. I'm not eating bread because I don't need the bread. I have bread in my dressing. And then I'm going to have a cup of coffee and a very small sliver of pumpkin pie. Again, I'm making two versions of the pumpkin pie. One I'm making very low calorie, and one I'm making traditional. So I'll have a small sliver of the low calorie pumpkin pie while I visit with my family and have my coffee, and that's it. I don't need all of the rest of this stuff. So I know going in what I'm going to let myself eat, and I'm sticking to that plan. Remember, it's not so much about the food, it's about who you're sharing the food with. So I'm going to make my focus Thanksgiving Day on spending time with my children and my grandchildren and my husband, and not so much about what's on my plate to eat and what's in the kitchen that I haven't eaten yet. Okay. So have a plan, know in advance what you're gonna eat, and stick with that plan. One pass through, whether it's buffet or the dishes are passed around you. You get what you want one time, and you don't go back for seconds. This is not an all-you-can-eat smorgasbord. It's a meal. It's a meal. You will eat again, I promise. This is not your last meal. You don't have to eat it all now, or you'll never have it again for the rest of your life. So get what you're gonna have, a reasonable portion, and that's it. One pass through. Don't go back. Next, have small portions. You don't have to eat it all. Fran, I have 6 grandchildren. Most of them are teenagers, but thank you, you're very sweet. Just because you might have a larger plate, and just because it's a holiday, doesn't mean we need to let our portion control get out of control. So if 3 ounces of turkey was enough for you last Thursday, it should be enough for you that Thursday. You don't need to eat more just because it's Thanksgiving. Say there's 10 things there and you want to eat all 10 of them. Okay, then don't have a normal portion of all 10 of them. Have a small spoonful of each. That way you get the opportunity to taste it and enjoy it, but you don't have to eat it all. If you need to take measuring cups or measuring spoons, it wouldn't offend me at all if somebody at my house said, look, I'm really working hard on getting the rest of my weight off or keeping it off. So I hope you don't mind that I'm gonna measure mine out. That way I know exactly how to track it when I get back home. Have a plan. You don't owe anybody an explanation. Nobody's gonna be looking, and if they are, maybe they're not looking to judge. Maybe they're looking to see, okay, she's done really good, so I'm gonna see how she does it, because I'm thinking that's probably what I need to do, so I need to see if it's actually doable. So smaller portions, and remember Just because you put it on your plate doesn't mean you have to eat it all. If you put something on your plate and decide, okay, I put a little bit too much, I'm gonna do the 3-bite rule, and then I'm done with it. I'm not gonna eat anymore. So smaller portions, don't have to eat it all. Once you're done eating, walk away. Walk away from the table, walk away from the food, walk away from the kitchen, go find something to do. Pick up a baby and hold it, let the mother have the chance to enjoy her meal, or volunteer for kitchen duty. Start cleaning, start putting food away, start cleaning up the kitchen. I mentioned last week, see who's willing to go for a walk with you, but walk away from the table. Don't keep sitting there if you're gonna keep eating. Once you're done, you're done. That's it. Move. Be active that afternoon, or that morning, or both. Get in some extra steps. Now, I'm not gonna tell you that you're getting in those extra steps so you can eat more. Although if you know that you're going to eat more than you should, then you absolutely need to go earn some fit points to pay for that food, because it's not free. It comes with a price. But if you can still use discipline, use that extra activity just to be extra, just to be more active, not to pay the price for what you've overdone. You'll feel better, your food will digest better, and you might be surprised. You might enjoy that conversation with whoever offers to go with you more than you would have enjoyed the conversation at the table. Sometimes those conversations tend to get a little deep and sometimes heated, so get out and walk some of it off. Audrey says, remember not to nibble on the food as you clean up the kitchen. Exactly. It still counts if it goes in your mouth via your hand and not your fork. So put on some dishwashing gloves or something. Remember our tip about the mouthwash. Once you're through eating, excuse yourself and go to the bathroom. Rinse your mouth out with mouthwash, brush your teeth or something so you're not tempted to sit there and keep eating. Remember, nothing tastes good after Listerine. It just doesn't. Okay. And finally is just a really big reminder that, well, I say finally, there's one more after this. You don't have to eat everything. Just because, you know, Aunt Betty Sue brought it and she's famous for it, doesn't mean you have to eat it. And even if you do, you don't have to eat a whole serving of it. Just take one spoonful, one bite. I think the 3-bite rule is so very important on days like Thanksgiving. You don't have to eat a whole serving just because it's there. Just take a bite of it, 2 bites of it, 3 at the most, and then be done with it. And then finally, remember, lights out, kitchen closed. When the meal is over, the meal is over. Don't go back for seconds. Don't go back for thirds. Definitely don't go back for thirds. In my family, we have lunch, Thanksgiving lunch. My large family, my siblings. I have a huge family of siblings, and so when we're all together, it's usually around lunchtime, and then you know, everybody goes and sits in the living room and moans and groans about how miserable we are and how we ate too much. But then about 3 o'clock, when it's time for the football game to start, because that's a big tradition in Dallas, is watching the Cowboys play Thanksgiving Day. We tend to start migrating back to the kitchen. We just sat there and talked about how full we were and how miserable we were, but now we're going back to the kitchen. And then by halftime, everybody is getting their plates out and doing it again. Don't do it. If you are going to eat again, go for the lean things this time. You've already tasted the sweet potatoes. You've already had the pumpkin pie. You've already had the dressing. If you're hungry at supper, which I don't know how in the world we could be hungry at supper, but if you are, go for the lean. Go for the low point. Go for the low calorie. Get some more dressing. Have some more green beans. Make a salad. Do something, but don't repeat lunch all over again. It's one meal. It's not the whole day. Okay? Other than that, I think the biggest problem that a lot of people deal with is it seems like every family has one or two that are just a little difficult to deal with. Maybe you have somebody at your table that insists on bringing up politics, or maybe you have somebody at your table that's just very opinionated, or wear your tightest jeans, Jill. I'm already on it. Maybe you have somebody at your table that you just really don't look forward to having conversation with. Again, it's that one day. Just try to be the person that is not going to be confrontational. You're going to use that day for what it was intended, a day of giving thanks. We're going to have a rule at our family table this year that applies to our Facebook group here. We are not going to discuss politics because it just puts people in a bad mood. We're going to discuss with our grandkids what we're thankful for this year. We're going to go around the table and we're going to take an opportunity from the youngest to the oldest to share something that we are giving thanks for. And I encourage you to do that with your family. If it isn't your tradition, maybe it's time to start one. Maybe it's okay to have an agreement going in that let's keep this meal very pleasant, and let's make sure that we keep our conversation uplifting and encouraging. And then remember, there may be someone at that table who's where you were last year. They're upset about their weight. They're not feeling hopeful. They're struggling and they're feeling very discouraged. But they came to the meal this year to watch and see. They've heard that you're doing Weight Watchers and they've heard about your success, so they want to see how you do it. They're not saying anything to you. They're not asking questions yet, but they're watching. And they're thinking, maybe, just maybe, if I can see how they do it, then that'll give me the courage to go do it. So be an example to someone of how you can motivate and still enjoy a holiday. No one says that we have to go through it like it's a diet. And then remember, it's just one meal out of the rest of the year. As soon as that meal is over, get right back on plan. Right back to eating the way you were. Don't make it a whole weekend. It's just one meal. So enjoy it, don't go crazy, and then get right back to your eating plan. Whatever you're doing, whether you're, if you're on freestyle, or if you're counting your calories, or if you're watching your carb intake, I don't care what you're doing. Just get right back to your good, healthy, sensible eating plan and get right back on it. The next meal will be coming up 4 weeks later at Christmas, and we'll do a repeat then with the same principles. But just don't let that one meal derail you for 4 days. And if you do, remember, how many times have you said, because I can't tell you how many times I have said, well, I blew it Thanksgiving and Christmas is right around the corner, so I might as well just give up and start over January 1st. Nobody gets permission to do that this year. We're not giving up. We're not starting over January 1st. We're getting right back on it the very next meal. John, my Cowboys pulled it off last night. I can't tell you how proud I was. I'm really worried about some of the injuries that they have. I'm really worried about the coach. But the boys played good. I was real proud of them. I didn't see the Packers. Did they win? Let's see. Let me look at some of your comments. We got just a couple of minutes. We'll do that. Game face on. Boy, I'm telling you. I I think that more of us worry about the holidays than we admit, but I think we're all in the same boat. Rosemary, I'm so sorry you're struggling. Let me know how I can help. Lisa said the Packers won. All right. I don't really know. Teresa was rooting for the Eagles, but good job, Cowboys. Thank you, Teresa. The Eagles played good too. It was a good game. It was a fight to the finish, and I like those games. Let's see. What was I saying? Oh, it is a struggle for a lot of us, and the holidays can be very enjoyable or they can be very stressful. So take the stress out of it going in, have a plan, stick to your plan, enjoy the day. Remember that it can be done and you can do it. You just have to apply yourself and give yourself permission to say no, to go through the line, look at every dish and say, you know what, I'm going to pass. I don't really need that this time. There will be more Thanksgivings. I don't recall what I didn't eat last Thanksgiving or the Thanksgiving before or the one before that. I don't lose sleep over the things I said no to at the restaurant 2 weeks ago. But what I will lose sleep over and what I will stress about is those meals that I overdo and I cause damage to my progress. So it's okay to say no. Yeah, don't take the first bite. That's, there's a lot of truth in that. It's the first bite, when we give ourselves permission to indulge that one bite, that usually throws us into a tailspin. So don't start, and then you'll be a step ahead of the game. Imagine how good it would feel to wake up Friday morning and step on the scale and see that you've maintained, or maybe you've lost a few ounces. How empowering would that be? Give it a shot. I think you can do it. I know you can do it. I'm excited to see how many of you can report in that you did it. Be sure you get lots of water in. There's going to be a lot of salt on that table, so flush with the water, and that'll really help. Can't believe we're discussing Thanksgiving. Fran, I'm telling you, it is flying by this year. So I'm going to let you go. I've got to get to work. I've got a lot on my plate today, but I just want you to know I'm thinking about every one of you. You're always in my prayers. Some of you very individually and specifically. If I know what your needs are, then I do my best to mention you in prayer. But I do pray for you as a whole, as a group as a whole. I feel like there's a responsibility that's been placed on my shoulders to encourage you, to maybe lift you up, and to just make you believe in yourself. And so I take that seriously. You've got a week. Get your plan together. Next Thursday we'll be here before we know it. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to get to work. I'll check in as I can during the day. You can always private message me if you have something personal that you want to address. And I will see you on the board. Bye.